All right, let's get into it, Rob. As I said, all the news surrounding the NBA is not good. And some terrible news broke today, but, we
kind of knew it was coming, Chris, because of Mark Spears put out something. You remember yesterday? I think you read it on the air.
Good. Yeah.
That not good is what the quote from somebody who was close to the Warriors. So we knew, and then it was down by
the heel and
the
lower
heel
leg
right.
Yeah.
So we already knew.
So anyway, that Klay Thompson, the All-Pro, All-Star guard, is going to miss the entire season with a torn Achilles heel. And
so that'll be 2 years in a row.
Yes, 2 straight years. Of course, he missed this past season with the ACL, and it's a different leg. It's the other leg.
Which I know he can't believe. I mean, you want to talk about bad luck, Chris?
Oh,
seriously.
Man.
It's one thing if maybe, it was weak, the same leg, that could happen where it didn't heal right.
Did you overcompensate?
Or something, and then it gives out. But to say, okay, now I get healthy on the bum leg, and then my good leg is gone.
Yep.
I mean.
Yep. And the interesting thing, too, is that Klay had been an Iron Man, Rob, until the ACL injury, 82 games, 81 games, 77, 80, 78. He had been an Iron Man, 73, 78. And then, when it rains, it pours. And a lot of people today are saying the dynasty is over. The dynasty that the Warriors had, mini dynasty, whatever you want to call it, is over. What are your thoughts on that? Is this officially the end?
I think the dynasty was over already when Kevin Durant left. So I know, they when he got hurt, and then they had a chance to push a Game 7, and Steph missed that big shot, and they didn't. Klay was hurt or whatever. Yeah. But I never believed like they were just going to pick up where they left off. I know a lot of people thought, oh, yeah, they'll be right back and they'll be the challengers or whatever. I don't believe that. I remember that team as the team that choked down a 3-1 lead. And
that means you're not a great team?
No, I'm just saying, but that's the DNA of those guys without Kevin Durant. That is their DNA.
How is that their DNA? They were playing against arguably the best player of all time.
Yeah, but still.
And a Hall of Fame point guard with him. And then probably a Hall of Fame power forward.
You're up 3-1. You set the record.
What was Durant's DNA?
You set the No, I'm talking about those guys.
I'm just saying, he was up 3-1 in the conference.
Not in the finals. It's never happened before.
It's the same. It don't
matter.
No, it ain't.
It's the playoff Chris, series. Can I make my point? You could whatever your criteria is, God bless you. This is not my that's facts. Not my criteria. No, I'm telling you this is my opinion. If you don't want to hear it, let me know.
I'll let your opinion.
Okay, so can you stop can you stop interrupting me and let me give my take on their DNA is that yes, this is the team that choked down a 3-1 lead, that set the record for most wins in a regular season, that hadn't lost more than 2 games in a row all year, lost 3 in a row, lost 2 of the 3 games at home, lost the Game 7 at home with all the marbles, and they weren't winning again. Kevin Durant made that team unbelievable. They were 8-1 in the NBA Finals with Kevin Durant. Once he walked, and when I look at the West and the teams getting better and all the other teams, I think their window had already closed. This nails it shut, okay? So I'll give you that. Is this some finality to it? Maybe that's what I was thinking. But now I don't know how anybody could look at this team now and think they're going to be competing for anything in the next 5 years. I just don't believe it.
Well, I don't think they would have been the favorite this year, even if fully healthy. I do, however, think they would have been a contender. And I would have given them a shot. Where I disagree with you is that because they blew a 3-1 lead in the finals, that they couldn't be a championship team. I mean, do you know how many people I can go to in the history of basketball who blew things and then came back and rallied from it? I mean, LeBron James melted down against Dallas. He came back and rallied from it, learned from it, and the rest is history. Dr. J, up 2-0 against Portland in 77. lost the next 4 games, came back, rallied from it, won the championship. Isaiah Thomas, friend of the show, threw that bad pass that blew the Eastern Conference Finals in 1987 against Larry Bird and the Boston Celtics. Learned from it, came back and rallied from it. I mean, we could go on and on. Magic Johnson being Tragic Johnson. That's what I disagree with. They lost that series to a great team and arguably the best player ever to many people. Not you and I have Jordan. We both got him second, though, LeBron James. You lost it. That don't mean they couldn't come back and win. What I'll say is on the court, I'll give you that. And I think that the question I have with the Warriors, and this is, Rob, I was really looking forward to getting an answer to this, is did the league kind of catch up with them? They clearly were ahead of the curve, and they changed the game, Steph and Klay. But now when they were rolling, nobody else was shooting from 35 feet, stepping a few feet inside of the half-court line and putting it up. Now you got Dame Lillard, you got Jamal Murray, you got a few other guys doing that. You got some dudes shooting the lights out now, and that's what I wonder. Without Durant in particular, would the league, had the league caught them, and, they maybe wouldn't have been as unique. And so that's really what I was looking forward to seeing. But you're right, without Klay, they're going to get Kelly Oubre. They traded for him. Good move. He's got, last year of his deal. He's a young player, can play both sides of the floor, shoots it pretty well. But he's not making them a contender. So I'll give you that. I'm not ready to say if Klay, it's a big if, but when he comes back next year, will it be over? Draymond's a little in decline. Let's see what Wiseman turns into. I like him a lot. Maybe if Oubre's good, they keep him. So I'm not ready to say they could never win it again, but obviously this year there's no chance.
You want a response from me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You having a conversation?
I just disagree. And it's bigger than that, and it ain't just. I just think when you look at their course of winning the championship, even the one that they won, and it counts. I'm not trying to take it away from them, but they had a nice path where like 3 big star players were hurt along the way. They got that championship. Then they choked down the other one. Durant won the MVPs in both the other 2. I just think he's a huge part of what made them so unstoppable. And then Klay was coming back this year, coming off an injury. A major injury. I'm assuming he was going to be okay, Chris, but I don't know what kind of player he was going to be exactly. And it was a different dynamics. And then the other thing is the Western Conference. Everybody's better. Look at even the teams like the Denvers and the Dallases. I mean, Utah. There's nothing but good teams on the West.
Monstrous when they were.
No, I know, but not as good as it is now.
San Antonio was great.
The Clippers, the Lakers. I'm just saying, there's a lot of good teams now, and I think that I don't see them winning another championship. I didn't see them before the injury, and I definitely don't see them now.
Is the Warriors dynasty kaput? Your turn.
All right, let's kick it off with Duncan in Fresno. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Duncan?
I do not believe that their dynasty is dead.
All right, but how do they resurrect it? Like what?
They got to get the key pieces. I mean,
Steve Kerr basically saying next year when they come back with Klay, assuming he gets back, that they'll be able to win the championship.
Right. If you remember you're giving all those other teams that were, they struggled and they didn't have, but they came back. You had the Lakers who came back. I mean, you look at football. The Patriots, they had in the early 2000s, they had a great dynasty, and then they kind of went off. They kind of went off a little bit, and you're like, well, when are they going to come back? And then they did. They came back.
But that's not a part of the same dynasty. One was they won 3 out of 4. Then they went 10 years without winning.
But
the Warriors, that's not saying that the Warriors organization could win again. But I'm talking about this group that won that championship without Kevin Durant. They're not winning again.
But
that's
people look at that New England because it was Belichick and Brady. Obviously, a lot of other people changed. but they kind of look at it as one. To his point,
they didn't win for 10 years.
The Spurs went through from 2007 to 2014. They went 7 years without winning another ring.
They were never a dynasty. They never even won back-to-back.
Right. I hear you, and we're not going to get into a dynasty thing. But, like they came back and were able to win with Tim Duncan. It's all viewed together. So, like if Steph, Rob, maybe they get a few different players, but it was Steph and Klay, people still would view that together. My thing is Draymond was showing decline the last couple of years. And what's he going to be like after, next season, after this season? What's he going to be like a year from now? But look, if Weissman turns into something special, which I think potentially he could, I'm with the caller. I'm not going to say they're definitely winning another one, but I think they still have a shot.
Keith in New Orleans, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up?
Favorite uncles, how y'all doing, man?
Doing
great,
good.
Man. How are you?
I'm good, man. Listen, I think they sold their soul to DKD. And we're seeing the remnants of that awful historical decision they made to get a guy who they didn't need. Think about it. The dynasty started on Kyrie being injured, and it ended on KD, Steph, and Klay being injured.
Well, and mainly KD and Klay, yeah.
Right.
Steph's injury wasn't that bad, yeah. Well, here's what I would say. I hear where you're going. You're getting mystical and all that, and I want to hear what you think, Rob. That's an interesting point. Here's the problem, though. The Warriors didn't do anything that is not become commonplace. I mean, LeBron, and they obviously won it this year with him and AD. He wanted Kawhi. I mean, you talk about a guy they didn't need. They were good enough without Kawhi, but they still went after Kawhi. You see Brooklyn now going after James Harden. The intent is the same. They just haven't been able to pull it off like the Warriors did. And even Miami, Rob, that was when they came together, that team was loaded. And none of them suffered this kind of fate that the Warriors are.
Kyle in Virginia, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Kyle?
Hey, what's up, guys?
What are you?
Pretty good. Hey, it's not dead. I'll be with Broussard and say that you can't guarantee they're going to win a championship again. But first of all, Steph Curry is one of the most humble superstars we've ever had, and players would like to play with him. And the way players move, and who's to say 2 years from now or year after next, Devin Booker doesn't end up in Golden State or another really rising star, and they get back at it. And you say the West is good. I mean, LeBron James is 37 years old, and these other guys haven't done anything. So it can switch. It can move. I'm not saying they're dead. And, Rob, to say they choked a 3-1 lead, on paper they did, but come on, man, watch the games. And
it was a choke job. All they had to win was one. It's a choke job. You can look at it your way. I'll look at it at my way. All right? This is Burger King Sports Talk Radio. Mine is you're up 3-1. Nobody in the history of the NBA ever choked down a 3-1 lead. It had never been done until Steph and Klay. And
really?
Draymond, yes.
Really?
It was a choke job,
Do
Kyle.
we need this music
this? Kyle needs a Heimlich maneuver.
Kyle, stand strong, my man.
It was a choke job. You homer, that's what you are. It wasn't a choke job. Yes, it was.
All I want from Rob Parker is consistency. Because you always rail against the Warriors for giving it up. But the series before, they came back from 3-1.
I say the same thing about the Yankees when they were up 3-0 against the Red Sox and Derek Jeter and Bernie Williams. They choked. They lost 4 straight to the Red. They choked. The Warriors choked.
And the Oklahoma City Thunder choked.
Right, but no one had ever done it in the finals, Chris. That's the difference.
It was still a deep Western Conference final.
And the Warriors had set the record, the single-season record with most wins.
Right.
So
they were
I'm
a great
telling
team.
You, they choked.
All right. 877-99 on Fox.
Kyle won't call
You'll get
back
your
here
chance.
again with that nonsense.
Kyle, don't let that stop you, man. You
I'm the
right.
poo-poo
All right?
king.
Don't be intimidated. He's got a lot of bark, all right, but not much bite. So relax.